The local government elections are looming, and come the 1st of November, you'll be able to make your mark. This weekend is voter registration. Let's check in with our reporters, Siphamandla Goge, Lethiwe Mdluli as well, who are looking at the state of readiness. Nobesuthu Hejana will join us as well. Let's start with you, Siphamandla. Thank you so much for making time. How tough is this campaign going to be with this limited time?
It's going to be very tough. It's never been heard of before, where political parties have barely about 6 weeks to undertake and conclude their campaigns successfully. This is the first election in a pandemic. Political parties haven't had time to use their normal traditional methods of campaigning. We know that in South Africa there is mass mobilization in terms of political parties going out to communities. There is that arrangement or setup and the method that they always prefer to use to launch their election manifestos in stadiums. This time around, even if they do go to stadiums to launch their manifestos, but there will be a limited number of people to attend because we are still in the midst of COVID-19. So you would have about 500 people attending a political gathering now that COVID-19 restrictions have been eased. We are now under alert level 2, meaning a number of people who can gather in and outdoors has been increased slightly. But that doesn't mean that COVID-19 is no longer with us. So as they are undertaking their campaign, political parties need to be mindful of the fact that we are still in the midst of COVID-19, and they have to ensure that they adhere to COVID-19 protocols and regulations. So this campaign is going to be very tight for political parties because they will be deprived by circumstances of the traditional method of mass mobilization, doing what is known as door-to-door campaigning. In the past, by this time, you would have seen political parties crisscrossing the country campaigning, but well, things are different this time around, and one of those political parties that is really lagging behind in terms of kickstarting its election campaign is the African National Congress. They will be launching their manifesto on the 27th of September, but they say, well, they've been campaigning on the ground. They are ahead of elections. Lethiwe Mdluli does concede that things are not looking good this year in terms of the time frame. Let's take a listen to him.
Never run a campaign in 6 weeks. It's the first time, and it's a test for the ANC. I don't know about others, but for us it is a big test. We embrace it, and we're going on the ground and talking to our people. And we know that we suffer from incumbency. Even somebody who have never been in power or produced that, they don't need to produce a manifesto. They just need to say, yeah, one of the pothole, the ANC is done. And then that is their manifesto. We've got to tell people about some of the sins of incumbency and how we have intervened and how are we going to intervene going forward. So there's a lot of things that we do as national government, provincial government, within 6 weeks. We need, or even less, to be speaking to about our campaign. But our campaign has long begun to talk to the communities and mobilize them to get the right candidates and so on.
So, Spa, obviously now parties are campaigning under quite tricky circumstances. What sort of methods are political parties using since these circumstances are different due to COVID-19?
They don't have a choice. They need to go digital. They need to utilize the digital space for now. That's one of the most effective tools to use this time around due to COVID-19. Well, they are not really, they do not have much choice in terms of continuing with their traditional methods of door-to-door. That is not going to work. But now they need to take their campaigns to Twitter, to Facebook, and to other digital spaces. There is this popular platform these days, you know, the space whereby you will have political parties engaging with potential voters, asking them to submit whatever proposals they want to talk about. So political parties are forced by circumstances now to go digital. That's where the campaign will be fought these days, because there is nothing they can do. If you want to tap into this market and the electorate of young people, the young voters, you need to take it digital, and that is the only way they can maximize and derive some political mileage in order to go to these elections with their message having been delivered, because other than that they don't have much choice.
All right, let's move over now to our reporter Nobesuthu Hejana. Nobesuthu, how is the ANC gearing up for the local government elections there? They haven't announced a mayoral candidate.
Well, Clement, ever since they lost the province to the DA back in 2009, the ANC has been struggling to get it back. I spoke to the party's convener in the province, Mr. Cameron Dalkmore, who was saying that their main focus this time or this year is to go back to the drawing boards, make sure that they talk to the structures and make sure that people are aware of the ANC and what it can do for them. And he was also saying that the challenges that they've had, where some party members or the party was not able to pay staff, those were some of the hiccups that they had to overcome. But they're quite sure that the decision not to announce a mayoral candidate will not deter their supporters. But this is what he had to say.
And what has happened, in 2016, the ANC won 1 out of 30 municipalities. That was Laingsburg. Right now, we are leading either through our own majority or with coalitions 9 municipalities. We've won by-elections from the DA. People who were in coalition with the DA have got disillusioned, and they've moved towards us now. So quietly, we've gone about strengthening ourselves. Now, our key priority this weekend is to register the unregistered voters from 8 a.m. on Saturday until 5 a.m. on Saturday, and then again on Sunday from 8 to 5. So we've been working with our structures. We have over 10,000 volunteers.
Nobesuthu, the COVID-19 pandemic is also proving to be a challenge to smaller parties due to the restrictions. How are they planning to reach out to their voters?
Well, this afternoon I spoke to the mayoral candidate of the Good Party, Mr. Brett Heron, who was out and about in Khayelitsha doing the door-to-door campaigns. He was saying that although they cannot afford bigger campaigns like other political parties, but they are using technology, social media, to ensure that they get or they reach the people. But he was saying that with the easing of the lockdown restrictions and now the country that is on level 2, they are able to go out and meet the people, because people will only believe what they see. So it's quite important for them to make sure that they are known in the locations or in the townships or wherever they go to campaign. But he was saying that they're quite confident that people from Cape Town, they need fresh ideas. They don't need the ANC or the DA that has been governing for far too long. But this is what he had to say about how they are approaching this time for the elections campaign.
So, the restrictions that arise because of the COVID pandemic have obviously curtailed large-scale events like rallies and big town hall meetings. The recent relaxation of those restrictions allows us now to have an indoor meeting of 250 people. But, to persuade a voter to vote for you, they need to see your face, they need to hear your voice, and they need to feel your authenticity and that you're sincere when you're talking to them. And so we're just trying to be in front of as many people as possible. It is possible to do door-to-door canvassing and knocking on doors in this pandemic. We've just got to manage social distancing, wear masks, sanitize, and respect the household that we're arriving at.
All right, let's move over to KwaZulu-Natal now. Lethiwe, is that province ready for voter registration? One of the parties anticipating the weekend activity there is the IFP.
Well, Clement, I can certainly tell you that the IEC in the province is saying that it is ready to host this weekend's voter registration. We were actually in a media briefing earlier on. It's been a very busy day ahead of the registration weekend here in KZN. The IEC did indicate that they're very much ready and they are hoping people will come out in their numbers, come and register for the local government elections that are. We know that those elections will take place on the 1st of November. At the moment, right now, I am at the IFP's campaign launch, and also today what they're going to be doing is unveiling the candidates for the eThekwini Metro. The event is currently taking place right now, but I'm joined by Lethiwe Mdluli, who is the IFP's chairperson here in KZN. Mdluli, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Lethiwe, and to your viewers.
Mdluli, my first question has to do with the campaign launch. I know that you are unveiling your candidates for the eThekwini Metro today. What are some of the plans that you have put in place, especially because campaigning will not take place as normal because we are under lockdown?
Well, as the IFP in eThekwini today, we're introducing our candidates to the public and launching our campaign here in Durban. It started, in fact. Owing to the COVID pandemic, which is a problem currently, we have different strategies that will allow or assist us, in fact, to be able to reach the communities using the different media platforms, social media, and doing door-to-door, holding many gatherings, many rallies instead of many. But most importantly, we have our system in place, which for us as the IFP, we only need to coordinate in each and every KwaZulu-Natal and also here in Durban. In each and every VD, we have an organizer, someone who is organizing on behalf of the IFP, of which we call that is our strong system, which is going to enable us able to send our messages and receive a feedback from the community through our system. That will be the in which will be substituting the previous or of big rallies, big meetings.
And in terms of the candidate nomination process, the IFP has been vocal and against this process, even threatening to take legal action against the IEC for doing this. Where are you currently?
Well, as the IFP, we really do not support the opening of the submission. Since we have submitted our papers to say the ending of the Constitutional Court judgment, we did not thought it allowed the reopening of the submission of the candidates, since all parties were awarded fair opportunity of submitting the candidates. And then we did not really understand why the ANC and the IEC had to decide to accommodate the ANC so that they submitted their candidates. Hence, we've then registered our case with the court.
Thank you so much for doing.
Thank you.
So that is the chairperson for the IFP in the province, Lethiwe Mdluli, just basically elaborating on their campaign launch and also to attract voters. He is saying that he's urging everyone to come out tomorrow to register, and that they are going forward with the case against the IEC, as they are against some of the decisions that were made to reopen the candidate nomination process.
Yeah, Lethiwe Mdluli, Siphamandla Goge, and Nobesuthu Hejana, thank you so much for updating us on the state of readiness for this critical weekend. It's voter registration weekend. You need to go and register to vote if you haven't registered and you've never voted before. If you've moved since the last time you voted, you need to also make sure you update your details. Still